What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? So today we're going to be taking a look at the final part of Fenrir's interview. If you guys don't know, on Fridays here, I post interviews with people, either other atheists or religious people or crazy conspiracy theorists. Today, Fenrir is going to take us through how he started questioning his religion, what kind of thought process he was going through, what finally made him jump to being an atheist. Then he's going to follow up with some, introspection, comparing his self now to his former self, as well as giving atheists and those that are questioning good advice for how they should handle their skepticism. So, if you guys are interested in this, please stay tuned, but also subscribe right now. Interesting.
Right.
Now to kind of, I guess, move forward a little bit in your own personal timeline after. After you started or after you ended your pioneering thing, like about how long, like after that, was it that you started like questioning? Like, I guess I just don't know like exactly when you started kind of questioning, because you said, earlier you didn't really like all the rules, but you were able to compartmentalize. And I guess I'm just asking, like, when did that start to break?
I kind of, honestly, I reached a boiling point last year where I've been inactive as a Jehovah's Witness for a few years. Like I haven't been going to all the meetings, and I was not going door to door preaching to people. So I am labeled specifically an inactive person. And I decided last year to go to a Jehovah's Witness convention for the summer, and it's 3 full days, 8 hours of just Jehovah's Witness dogma and literature and preaching and corny ass videos where they give really bad examples of how ideal Jehovah's Witness life is portrayed. And for me, and I sat there and I actually paid attention this time, because it was interesting to me, since I had been able to take a step back and kind of give it a break and not just constantly doctrinize myself. Since I had taken a step back, I was able to look at it objectively. And once I started paying attention to everything and their propaganda videos, it started making me really, really angry. They teach homophobia, and they demonize higher education and having a decent life for yourself. And it just made me so angry for those 3 days. And then after those 3 days, it still upset me. Like I would think about it every now and then, and I would just be like, God damn it. And so I felt like I had to get an outside opinion on what I had seen. And so I got on YouTube and I found the John Cedars Channel, and he had done rebuttals and reviews of that convention. And it just kind of blew my mind, and it was like Alice going down the rabbit hole. And I immediately subscribed and watched videos by him and other people. He was my first YouTube subscription. Telltale Atheist was my second, and you were my third. So I just kept going and going and going from there.
No, yeah, I mean that. Once you find a few good ones, you generally, at least here recently, we've been trying to work together. And I know recently I did the one thing for Telltale, and he did something for me. So I'm glad that you were able to find them. Was there any certain particular like rebuttal that like John Cedars or Telltale has that really kind of made you feel secure, like in your doubt, at least?
They both have a lot of material on a lot of issues, and for the majority, I agree with all of it. They preached, I'm sorry, that was the wrong word to use. They encourage free thinking and critical thinking, and it's like being your own person is okay. And, the brainwashing and guilt tripping that this particular religion does is wrong. And that was something that helped me feel better, because I agree with them and other XJWs in the thought that this is a fear-driven doomsday cult. And that's the only way that they are able to survive, is to make people fear. John Cedars has a couple videos where he took clips from one of the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses. They're called the governing body. And the man is on stage telling people to look at their hands. And he says, do you see anything on your hands? And he basically says, well, if you're not going out in service and preaching to people, you have blood on your hands, because people are going to die at Armageddon because you weren't out there preaching to them. And that, from hearing that from that man, Tony Morris III, really struck me, because I remember when I was a teenager and I got severe anxiety from that. Hearing him telling me, people are going to die because you're not doing what you're supposed to. And it stuck with me. And it always, I was having anxiety attacks because I wasn't able to get Bible studies and help people understand my religion's interpretation of the Bible. So it was driving me crazy. And they kind of helped me with understanding that that's not okay, and that all this guilt is unnecessary.
Okay. Yeah, and I would say so. I mean, that is definitely an emotional tactic to use in order to guilt somebody into your position. And it's a really horrible way to go about anything, because you're only damaging that person. You're not helping them at all. You're just damaging them. So I'm kind of curious, do you consider yourself an atheist now, or what do you consider your belief system like now, regardless of your JW status?
Right now I'm in a funny place, because, like I said, it's been a year. It hasn't even been a year since I've dived down this rabbit hole, but I guess I have to label myself as an atheist right now, because I strictly can't take the Bible seriously, in that in the regard that this almighty entity can do all this pedantic, have all these rules and these really just silly rules on his people. Otherwise, he's going to wipe them from existence forever. And I've learning the basics of evolution has really changed my mind on a lot of things too. So I would have to say that, yeah, I'm an atheist.
Okay. So like I assume that you really didn't come to that conclusion lightly. And from
Absolutely
what I take,
not.
yeah, from what I take, it's taken about a year for you to really come to this position. Is that correct?
Right.
Right. And so would you say like the evolution, the arguments against, creationism, or like the biblical narrative? I mean, would you say that is what pushed you over the edge, or is there any other thing that you might attribute to that?
what pushed me over the edge was, the basically the rules and the guilt tripping. That was what did it for me. And then creation versus evolution was the nail in the coffin for it. Like, I was able to go back and objectively look at the Bible and its verses and, after reading it, say to myself, this is absolutely ridiculous and makes absolutely no sense when you compare it to what's taught by evolution.
Right.
Basically, evolution makes so much more sense than some guy in outer space snapping his fingers and saying, oh, there's a giraffe, there's a zebra, and there's a guy who looks like a monkey, but he's not who looks like an ape, but in absolutely no way is he an animal. He's special.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's pretty convincing as well. I never really grew up thinking, like creationism was true. I always grew up kind of scientifically minded, but also like I grew up Catholic, so creationism was never really pushed for me. But I would find, the arguments for evolution to be monumentally better than creation. I'm glad that you feel the same way. Now, I'm kind of curious, do you see any kind of difference, like, in yourself now, like, as an atheist, and versus, like, before when you were religious?
Definitely. Up until last year, I had always had the mindset that I'm going to die, and I'm either, due to me being judged by God, he's either going to wipe me from existence and I'm going to be nothing, or I'll get to live in paradise on earth as a perfect human being forever with all of my resurrected family members, and, I'll get to pet a tiger in paradise and not be afraid. And that stayed with me until last year. And that mindset before affected me to where I really did not care about this life. And I was, they say working for the weekend. A Jehovah's Witness works for the quote new system, and a lot of them will not take care of themselves, because they say Jehovah is going to make me perfect in paradise, and I'll just wait till then to take care of things, and we'll have plenty of time in paradise and stuff like that. And that was kind of how I was. And it kind of makes you want to hurry things up, to be honest. I'll say that about myself. Like, you really don't value your life that much when you are in this religion and you don't really fit in, but you do believe it. So you kind of just want to get it over with. You know what I'm saying? It makes a lot of people suicidal when they don't fit in, but they still believe it.
Right. I'm wondering, how do you feel whenever you hear like a religious person saying that atheists just don't value life at all, and that, everything's just meaningless for an atheist?
I find it honestly ridiculous now. I can understand because I was there not that long ago, but now it's kind of ridiculous. It's not kind of, it's very ridiculous, because an atheist does not have these hopes and dreams of an afterlife. We are trying to do our best with what we have right now, because when you don't try, things are going to turn to shit. And I think that's a large problem in this world right now is people thinking Allah's going to provide them with paradise, Jehovah's going to provide them with paradise, they're going to reach nirvana. So we don't have to worry about what's going on around us right now. And I think that's just a very dangerous way of thinking.
No, yeah, I totally agree. And, I'm trying to put together a video now where I list different things that religious people tried to turn the tables on, like atheists about. And that's one of those things, is that they try to tell you that, well, atheists, they think life is meaningless while we think life has immense value. But it's like it's actually the opposite, because they don't feel like this life has value, whereas we feel like this life has an immeasurable amount of value. So it's kind of odd how that works, huh?
The funny part is that they feel sorry for you that you don't have a hope of what's after. That's what I've been receiving a lot from people. Like, they say, I can't believe you just don't have any hope. And I have to correct them, and I tell them, you're wrong. I do have hope. I hope to make what's around me better right now as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm kind of curious. Hold on, I had the question in my head and then I lost it. Okay. So for a Jehovah's Witness, like, what does it mean, like this life that you're working towards? Because general Christians, they want the heaven and everything like that, but I know Jehovah's Witnesses are a bit different in that aspect.
Yes. Whereas other Christian denominations always preach about heaven and going to heaven and the rapture and stuff like that, Jehovah's Witnesses don't subscribe to that, like, at all. I can't get into the specifics of why, because I'm not good at that part, but they believe that there is a very specific number, according to the Bible, that there's going to be only 144,000 people that get to go to heaven, based on a scripture in Revelation, and that the rest of the people that, live according to God's word will stay on earth, and the entire earth will be a perfect paradise. Everything will be perfect. The environment, the animals won't be, murdering each other and other people, and everyone will be happy and just living in paradise, worshiping Jehovah.
Okay, and I've heard that JWs are fine with this whole idea that they aren't going to be going to heaven. I'm kind of curious, I gather that you probably felt that way when you were JW. So what was that like?
It was completely normal. And it still is for Jehovah's Witnesses. They'll come to the conclusion that the ones that are in heaven are going to be like, they're going to watch over the people on earth and keep things straight, like a foreman in a shop or a mayor of a town. That's kind of how the heaven-earth relationship will be. They'll be in heaven with Jesus and God, because they don't believe in the Trinity also. Jehovah and Jesus will be their boss, and then there'll be angels. The 144,000 will be the ones that got to go from earth to heaven, and there'll be angels, and they will watch over the earth and protect it.
Well, protect it from what?
I'm not sure. Because they're just, make sure Jehovah's Witnesses are not growing beards and not having premarital sex, I guess.
Oh, okay, so the earth is more like a prison. I don't know. That's what it kind of sounds like to me. It's like, oh, they're looking like they're the prison guards, and here they are on prison. It's kind of weird how they model it as like paradise, but at the same time, it's like there's this 144,000, guards up top that are making sure that you're following all the rules of Jehovah.
Yeah. Once I was able to look at the religion objectively from kind of a different aspect, I came to the same conclusion. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to be alive forever and I change my mind on a few things, I'm screwed because I'm either going to have to pretend for forever, or I'm going to be annihilated from existence, or the alternative to that is that I won't even have my own opinion. I'm going to be completely brainwashed and just walk around like a lamb with a shepherd.
Now, there's going to be there are going to be people that watch this who are perhaps JWs, and they want to say like, oh, well, you were never really a JW, or you never really believed, or, a real JW would never leave the faith. I mean, what do you have to say about that?
I say just wait, and that they're hypocrites, because guaranteed they all have their own opinions about something wrong with the religion. And even though they may ignore it and hide it, it's still there. And if it ever comes to a point where they, have to decide, this is not for me and I can't abide by these things anymore, then I'm not going to tell them that they weren't ever really Jehovah's Witnesses. I had never, when I, was extremely devout, I never tried to put that on people. I never tried to guilt trip people into feeling, that they never had these feelings about the religion and about God. Because that's wrong. That's abusive. And I do receive that all the time, that I, never really had a love for my God, but that's not true.
Okay. No, yeah. I mean, I would say definitely. I mean, I get that lob my way when I was just, I was not as indoctrinated as you, I guess, but I mean, similarly, not to your extent, obviously, but, I mean, it's really frustrating when they lob that our way. Now, I'm kind of curious, what would be your best advice for a Jehovah's Witness that may be in that same place that you were a year ago, where you were questioning and you're not certain about your faith anymore? What's the best advice that you can give?
Delete your browser history.
But did that get you in trouble?
Absolutely. If your family members that are Jehovah's Witnesses, or your friends, find out that you are looking at material that is not in line with their thinking, you will be called out for it very quickly. That's what happened to me. I was watching a video by John Cedars, and a family member of mine walked in and saw it, and I was verbally attacked, and the mood has changed in my family dynamic since that moment, and it's been very difficult, dealing with that. It was not the way I had wanted things to go. I wanted to, learn more and be able to have reasonable conversations with people, instead of being found out all of a sudden and being berated for it and being, given the third degree, like I murdered someone. Honestly, it's up to each individual. Each individual knows their family and their friends. Be honest. That's the best advice I can give. But don't blow it all up in their face. Like, you can't just, start throwing out information at their face and expect them to just, take it for granted. And they say the same exact thing in the Jehovah's Witness organization. Because when a Jehovah's Witness comes to your door, they had been told, don't tell them that everyone who's not a Jehovah's Witness is going to be destroyed at Armageddon. Let's start them off with, the hope that they're going to see their family member alive again in paradise. And then, after we've been able to be with them a while, will start to get into that whole doomsday thing, because they know if you're a Jehovah's Witness and you go to the door and say, hey, you need to join our religion or else you're going to be destroyed by Armageddon and get butt fucked by the devil, so head this way.
Those hellish pineapples.
Yeah. They know that's not going to be received well, and you're going to sound like a crazy person. And that's what a critical thinking person who's not going along with Jehovah's Witness thinking is to a Jehovah's Witness. A Jehovah's Witness person will think that someone who is doubting is absolutely crazy.
So what kind of good advice can you give them for like hiding their browser history? Because I feel like that's very important in this particular situation.
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, I guess
don't be very careful on Facebook. Don't go following atheist pages on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, unless you're just absolutely ready to be that blunt and just if you're that done with it, then yeah. But if you're in a situation, like if you're a young child, a kid, or a teenager, and you're still living at home and you still need, the help of your family, then you got to be very careful with this stuff, because I've seen it myself. It's happened in my family. If you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing according to Jehovah's Witness rules, you're going to get kicked out fairly quickly if your family is that devout. And then you'll have to start from scratch on your own as a kid.
So that's horrible. I mean, have you known kids to be like kicked out of their parents' house or whatnot?
Absolutely. It happened in my family. My sister wanted a relationship with boys, and they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. She wanted to have sex before she got married, so she was shipped off to other family that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses. And I'm only like just now, after like 15 years, finally getting back into contact with her.
Oh wow, that's so horrible.
And she was a young teenager. So that's not unique to me.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, me being a father myself, like I cannot imagine doing that to my son, like at all.
Right. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So you take care of your kids,
right,
and your family.
Now, for those that are in your position, like technically still a JW, but they don't believe, like, is there any kind of advice or any kind of thought or any thoughts that you might want to leave them with?
If you're like me and you're pretty much on your own in regards to trying to get out, I don't know, because I would love some advice myself. But if you can get your family to get on board, and like say your wife, maybe the best thing to do would be to move very far away and fade. Don't try to go to another Kingdom Hall and form relationships there. Just move and fade, and just, don't let your devout family and friends, don't tell them, hey, I don't want to be a part of this organization anymore. Just sort of fade out, and things might be okay. Or if you're just done with it, then be done with it and do what you got to do to, live a good life and be happy.
No, yeah, I definitely, I mean, if that's how they feel about it, but I would assume that they would understand that they would lose everything, because I mean that's really what's at stake here, is just losing everything that you know. And that's what would happen if you rip that Band-Aid off.
Yep, and it happens. So I'm not there yet. So might have to check back in and see if things are the same or vastly different.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that you don't ever have to go through that, because I mean, losing everything that you have, I mean, that's never fun. Nobody ever wants to do that. But
Right.
I do appreciate you coming on to my channel here and kind of spending some time and telling us about your experience.
Thank you for having me. I love your channel, and you guys are really funny and extremely intelligent. So, win-win.
Yeah, well, I mean, I try to bring some intelligence along with some dick jokes, so you get a nice helping of both.
Yes. Or God's lightning dick.
Yes, God's lightning dick. Well,
I
friend,
don't know how many. I don't know how much viewership you get from the your daily Bible reading, but that's one of my favorite things you guys do, because that is such an awesome way of getting to hear what the Bible says, and it's hilarious and very honest about what is actually in the Bible.
No, I really appreciate you saying that, because that one's actually the lowest performing one on the channel. Not a lot of people watch it yet, but hopefully, more people will start. We try to bring the humor along with some sanity. Normally KC's the sane one, and I'm the one that just see, that's my whole shtick on it, is I try to start off like really regurgitating whatever we're about to read in the worst way possible. Because like that's the general straw man that a lot of Christians lobby at us, is that, oh, you just don't know what the Bible says. So it's like, okay, well, I'm going to take this shit to the extreme. You ready?
Nothing you say about the Bible is any more ridiculous than what is in the Bible. So don't worry about it.
Well, I'm glad that you like that. I mean, we're going to be continuing through it. I mean, we're only on like February 3rd or whatnot on the actual daily Bible, which translates to like day 39 or something. So, it's we're going to be doing that for a while. And then we'll be doing the Mormon Bible, 5 years from now.
Oh, nice.
But anyways, I know that I've kept you for a pretty long time, and I really appreciate your time there, Fenrir. And I hope that, everything turns out better for you. I mean, we are connected through various social media, so, I mean, we'll be in touch. But, I'm sure everybody here hopes that, you stay safe and that you don't lose everything.
Well, I appreciate the support and everything you guys do also. It's been awesome doing this interview. I appreciate it, and I'll definitely keep you guys on my Facebook and YouTube. And I always, if I see someone on social media that's searching for content on atheism, the Bible, and etc., you're always one of the top of one of my top of people that I suggest.
And I really appreciate that. I mean, I know a lot of people say that I'm criminally undersubscribed or whatnot, but I try to put out there really good information, and just hopefully it catches on at some point.
Yeah, you'll get there. Don't worry about it.
Well,
if there's Jehovah's Witnesses out there that are listening that have these doubts, there's the John Cedars Channel. There's Telltale Atheist, XJW Critical Thinker, and people that aren't Jehovah's Witnesses that give really good explanations about stuff is Godless Engineer, R and Raw, and Telltale Atheist again. Those are just a few people that, very intelligently explain things. So give those all check.
No, yeah, definitely. I suggest everybody, even Aaron Ra, who, we have a little bit of a spat right now, but I really love the content that he puts out.
I did not know that.
Well, no, yeah, there's a little bit of a divisive thing going on, but I still love his content, and I love how he argues things, and I really enjoy his content. So I suggest everybody going and watching Aaron Ra stuff. I even have an interview with Aaron Ra on my channel, so definitely check that out.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
But anyways, I really appreciate it, Fenrir. You're doing me the favor right here, right now. I'm glad to be connected with you and to have, you speaking on my channel, standing up and using your voice, as it were.
No problem. Pleasure is mine.
Yeah. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you, heathens, for joining us today. If you will, go down below and leave me your thoughts on this particular portion of the video. If you want to, you can check out these 2 videos that are here right now, and help this channel out by watching them. Leave Fenrir your comments and everything, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there. I will see you, heathens, later. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice. Bye, heathens.